ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to Wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are currently on Canto 1 and we have completed chapter 9 and we are going to start chapter 10 today. So chapter 10 is entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dvaraka. So we have been seeing since chapter 4 these questions which Shaunaka Rishi asked Suta Goswami, and they asked Shaunaka Rishi, and he was heading so many sages who were present there. And Shaunaka Rishi asked multiple questions about the writer, speaker, and the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he asked, please tell about the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, that when it was spoken, where it was spoken, why it was spoken, and by whose inspiration Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. And then about Parikshit Maharaj also, he asked that please tell us about his birth, activities, his renunciation. And then they also asked about Shukadeva Goswami, that how did Hastinapur citizens recognize him and how did his meeting with Parikshit Maharaj took place. So all of these questions were asked, and Suta Goswami started responding to these questions from the chapter 4 itself. And we have already seen his response to the first question about how Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. So Suta Goswami explained that even after writing the Puranas, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras, Mahabharata, Vyasadeva was not very satisfied. He was not feeling satisfied. He was still feeling unhappy. So Narad Muni appeared at that time as a spiritual master, and he explains the reasons. And the two reasons that he mentions is that you have insufficiently broadcasted the Lord's glories. And the second one is that you have given more emphasis on the four Purusharthas in contrast to Lord's glories. So you did not actually describe the main subject matter that you should have described, and you gave emphasis to some other subject matters. So these are the two main problems because of which Vyasadeva is feeling that unhappiness. So to explain the influence of the surcharged devotional atmosphere, then Narad Muni explains his own life story in chapter 5 and 6 that we have seen this. That he mentions that he was son of a maid servant and how he rendered service to the Bhaktivedantis during the 4 months of rainy season. He heard from them Krishna Katha, and then he ate the remnants of their prasadam. And then, after his mother passed away, he followed the same path which was taken by the Bhaktivedantis, his gurus. And he got darshan of the Supreme Lord. And even after that momentary darshan of the Supreme Lord, he continued for the rest of his life the process of bhakti. And thus, at the end of his life, he got the transcendental body of Narad Muni. Then in the 7th chapter, we saw that after Narad Muni left, then Vyasadeva meditated on the Supreme Lord. He meditated on his energies and also how Jiva is suffering by getting entangled in this Maya. And then out of compassion for all of us, Vyasadeva then wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami then starts speaking about Parikshit Maharaj, the second question. So he has completed answering how Vyasadeva, how, why, and in what situation Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he started talking about the question about Parikshit Maharaj in chapter 7. So he started mentioning that how Ashwatthama killed 5 sleeping sons of Pandavas and Arjuna arrested him. But Draupadi, out of her compassionate nature, she wanted to free up Ashwatthama. So finally, after hearing all the opinions from everyone like Bhima, Krishna, Draupadi, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharāja, and everyone, Arjuna decides to kill him, but not kill him by removing his hair and the jewel on his head, but not harming his body as such. And then he let him go. In chapter 8, we saw that Krishna was about to leave from Hastinapur for Dvaraka. But at that time, Uttara comes running to him and offers prayers and says that, please save the child in my womb. So Krishna understands immediately that Ashwatthama has released another Brahmastra to kill all the Pandavas as well as their only heir, who's in the womb of Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu. So Krishna protects the Pandavas outside, and he also enters the womb of the Uttara to protect Parikshit Maharaj. Then after that, Queen Kunti offers her heartfelt prayers to Krishna, and then at the end expresses her desire to have more and more association of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Then we also saw that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was also feeling very distressed because of all the massacre that has happened in the Mahabharata war, and he was feeling himself as the responsible person for all that massacre. So when Krishna was about to leave after Queen Kunti's prayers, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj again implored Lord Shri Krishna to stay for some more time. And because he was the elder brother, without his permission, elder cousin, without his permission, Krishna couldn't go. And out of his love and affection, Krishna stayed for longer. Of course, there were multiple reasons, and that we saw in chapter 9. We saw that Krishna, not only he wanted to remove this misconception which was there in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaja's heart, but also he wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. So he took Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj to meet Bhishma Dev, and where then Bhishma Dev gave the knowledge of Raja Dharma, Dana Dharma, Varnashram Dharma, Sri Dharma, Moksha Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma. So much knowledge for many days he was speaking to Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. And he also explained to Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj that all this is happening is by the will of the Lord. You are not responsible for it. It is by the will of the Lord. So accept what the Lord has willed. His desire is that you should rule the world. You are a devotee of Krishna, and Krishna wants you to rule the world. So you accept that. And after he has given this knowledge, and Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is also now pacified, then he withdraws, Bhishmadev withdraws all his senses from everything else and focuses solely on the Supreme Lord Krishna. He offers wonderful prayers to Lord Shri Krishna, and then he leaves the world. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj then he performed the last rite for Bhishmadev and returns to Hastinapur. And that is where Lord Shri Krishna, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, they consoled Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and then with their permission, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj rules the world. So that is where we have completed the chapter 9. So I've just given you a brief summary from chapter 4 to chapter 9. What has happened? Now, remember, the discussion is happening about Suta Goswami is explaining about Parikshit Maharaj. But in that, the Queen Kunti's prayers, Bhishma Dev's departure, Bhishma Dev's prayers to Krishna, all of that has come. Now, these next two chapters as well, chapter 10 and 11, they are not talking about Parikshit Maharaj as such, but they are still talking about Krishna and his devotees. So Suta Goswami is now explaining how Lord Shri Krishna, he is leaving from Hastinapur. This entire chapter, 36 verses, is only talking about he is leaving from Hastinapur to go to Dvaraka. He hasn't even gone to Dvaraka. Towards the end, we will see that he reaches Dvaraka in the last verse. But the entire chapter is just talking about the preparation and how the Lord reciprocates, how his devotees are reciprocating with him when he is leaving from Hastinapur to go to Dvaraka. Very wonderful chapter. So in this chapter, we will see, oh, I'm not sharing this. In this chapter, we will see that when Krishna is leaving, so in the beginning, the first few verses talks about how Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj ruled the kingdom, because Shaunaka Rishi asked that question. And then Krishna gets ready to depart. Then while he is leaving, the ladies of Hastinapur, they are on the rooftops of the palace, and from there, they are glorifying the Supreme Lord, and Lord is listening. And then in the last few verses, we will see how Lord proceeds towards Dvaraka. So that is how the chapter is going to flow. Let us move on to first verse. Shaunaka uvacha hatva swarikthas atataino Yudhiṣṭhiro dharma bhrutam varishthaha sahanujay pratyavaruddha bhojanaha katham pravritta kimakarishit tataha. Yes, Vishakha Mataji, and then Aditi Mataji, and then Mantramuni.
Saunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhisthira, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Shaunaka Rishi is asking this question about Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. And specifically, he is asked how Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj ruled the kingdom after all the aggressors were killed. So Shaunaka Rishi mentions that these people who were killed, they were aggressors. They had done like major problems, major sinful activities that they had done. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, he is also mentioning that it was his rightful inheritance to be the king. But he had to unfortunately fight just for that, getting that rightful inheritance. And Yudhishthira Maharaj is the greatest of all religious men. And he was also assisted by his brothers. So surely, after all of these people were killed, surely he could not enjoy the kingdom unrestrictedly. So that is what Shaunaka Rishi is thinking. So why he's thinking like that? Because all his cousins and so many other people were killed in the war. So he would definitely not be enjoying the kingdom as a victor. Yes, I've done it. Now this entire kingdom, the kingdom of the entire world actually, is now for me to enjoy. So was that his consciousness? He already knows that that is not his consciousness because he has already said that he is the greatest of all the religious people. So he wants to know what happened, how Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj ruled the kingdom. He wants to understand the behavior of a pure devotee after victory. He has already seen through various different parts that Shruta Goswami has mentioned, that how Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj and Draupadi, Kunti Maharani, how they behaved when they were facing challenges. So through the Kunti Maharani's prayers that they have understood, and Bhishma Dev has talked about that how many difficulties that they have gone through. But now Shaunaka Rishi wants to understand that now those bad days are gone. Now they are victorious. Now they are able to enjoy. So what did they do? So in second chapter, Arjuna also asked that how does Sthita Pratnya behave? So similar question through the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, uh, Shaunaka Rishi is asking Suta Goswami. Let us see what happened. Suta Uvacha Vamsham Kuror Vashadavagni Nirhritam Saron Hayitva Bhavabhavano Hari Niveshayitva Nijarajyaishwaro Yudhishtiram Pritamana Babhuvaha.
Hare Krishna. Sutta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhisthira in his own kingdom and after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger.
Thank you, Maharaj. So Krishna is the maintainer of the world. So Krishna is the maintainer of the world, it is mentioned. So Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's the maintainer of the world, became pleased by re-establishing Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king. So he restored the Kuru dynasty, which was exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. And the analogy is given here that how the bamboo fire starts in the forest. So when there are dry bamboos and they rub against each other when the wind is passing. And because of that friction between the bamboo, two dry bamboos, some spark gets created, some heat gets generated, and then the spark comes. And then, even though there is no external cause for that fire, then the entire fire burns. Similarly, in Kuru dynasty as well, similar thing happened. That Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana's material desire of ruling the kingdom, that caused anger. So, Kama leads to Krodha. So they had this material desire to rule the kingdom. They were not the rightful inheritors of the kingdom. Yudhishthira Maharaj was. But because of their material desire and because they understood that they are not going to get it, there was this anger which was there in their heart. And that caused the annihilation of the entire Kuru dynasty, almost. The 100 sons of Dhritarashtra and so many other kings and soldiers were killed. And just like the bamboo fire has no other cause apart from the bamboos themselves, similarly here, the Lord is not responsible as such. It was the desire of those people which caused that destruction. Lord actually wants, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, Lord has nothing to do with them. But because he wants to maintain the creation, he desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization. So the Lord wants that all of us follow the path of self-realization. And it is mentioned further, the Lord wants the suffering human beings to come back home, back to him. So that is his desire. He has, to fulfill our desires, he has created this material world. So it is our desire to be in the material world. But what is Lord's desire? He wants all of us to follow this path of self-realization and go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. So see the difference between our desire and Lord's desire. Lord's desire is that we should be in the spiritual world where there is no suffering. And it is our desire that we want to be here. And because we are going against the Lord's desires, there is a lot of suffering that we are going through. So hence the Lord wants his representatives to rule the world. So Lord's desire is that we should all go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. If his representatives are ruling the world, then they will try to fulfill the will of the Lord. If the kings like Duryodhana is ruling the kingdom, he himself is not a follower of the Supreme Lord. He himself is not worshipping. He wanted to arrest Lord Shri Krishna. So how can such a king lead all the other citizens to the Supreme Lord? He won't be able to. So that is why, to re-establish the principles of religion, Lord Shri Krishna wanted Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj to become the king so that he can lead all the other his subjects as well towards the Supreme Lord Krishna, so that they can go back to Godhead, to their spiritual world. And now that he saw that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is established, and then sooner or later, all these the subjects will also follow the spiritual path, he was very pleased. He was satisfied now. Verse number 3. Nishamya bhikto bhishmoktya mathachutotyakta pravritta vijnana vidhuta vibramaha shasasagamindra ivajitashayah paridhyupantamanujānuvartitaha.
Maharaj Yudhisthira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Deva and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So it is quite interesting, this verse. It is talking about the teachers, the knowledge, and the student. And all three are perfect. The teachers were perfect, the knowledge which was given was perfect, and the student was also perfect. Who are the teachers which are mentioned here? Which teachers are mentioned here in this verse?
Krishna and Bhishmadeva.
Yeah, Krishna and Bhishmadev. Krishna is, of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Bhishmadev is one of the Mahajans. So the teachers are perfect. And here specifically, Krishna is referred to as Achyuta. Achyuta means he's infallible. So in the infallible Lord and his pure devotees, who is a Mahajana. The result was, because the teachers were perfect, all the misgivings of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was gone. And the knowledge, thus, so it is mentioned, thus he received the perfect knowledge. So engage himself in the matter of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. So he received perfect knowledge. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj received perfect knowledge from Bhishmadeva and Krishna. And then he ruled the kingdom with his brothers. Srila Prabhupada talks quite a lot about this perfect knowledge in the purport. He explains that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj did not have his own ideology. He did not come up that, yeah, okay, now I am the king. I'm going to create some new principles. Going to create some dharma. I will create my own ideology and all of you follow it. No, he did not have his own ideology. He was following the instructions of the Lord and his representatives. Srila Prabhupada mentions that the imperfect people cannot create perfect ideology to rule the world. Only perfect and infallible Lord can create the principles which are universally applicable to all. So if you come in the second paragraph, in the middle, there is this line. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira to rule the whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. So because he was following the infallible Lord who has given the infallible principles, that is the reason he was able to rule the entire world. So the teachers were perfect. The knowledge that they gave was perfect. But even if all of this perfection is there, if the student who's receiving this knowledge is not perfect, it would be all wasted. So who's the student? Wonderful student, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. Now you can see that now the glorification is happening of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. So Bhagavad Gita, glorification of Arjuna was happening. Earlier as well, we saw Arjuna captured Ashwathama, and then he was the hero of the story. But here, now the hero had changed. Earlier, there was a Bhishma Dev who was a hero in the previous chapter. Now, here in this section, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is glorified as the hero. He is the perfect student. He is the perfect ruler. He understood the knowledge perfectly. So he was not an ordinary student. He was a pure devotee. Pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada says, very wonderful line again here. This, like, this chapter's purports are quite amazing. All the purports are amazing. I actually say that in every session. So to inspire you to make sure that you actually read all those purports. Because Srila Prabhupada has given so much knowledge. And he has written all of that for all of us so that we can understand what is the meaning behind these verses. So Srila Prabhupada says, it is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. Did you find that? Like towards like 2/3 of the second paragraph. Srila Prabhupada says, it is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. Like if all this knowledge was given to a fool, then he would have created a fool's paradise. But because this knowledge was given to an intelligent, pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, that is why the government was also perfect. And we will talk about this particular section in few minutes. But we can understand from this verse how this perfect combination of wonderful teachers, the perfect teachers, perfect knowledge, and the perfect student. And that is how the parampara continues. In the Bhagavad Gita as well, when we were doing the Wisdom of Bhagavad Gita sessions, we talked about that how the parampara to continue properly and as it is, we require a perfect teacher who is bona fide coming from the parampara. The knowledge then that comes through them is perfect. But to continue that parampara, the student also has to be sincere. He also has to be perfect. He has to actually receive the knowledge, understand it, implement in their life, and then pass it on to the next generation. Only then that parampara continues nicely. So this is what is mentioned here. Let us go ahead. Fourth verse. Let us read 4 and 5 together. Kamam vavarša parjanya sarva kamadudhamahi Sishi Chushmaha Vrajan Gavaha Payasodha Swatirmuda Nadya Samudra Giraya Savanaspati Virudha Falantyo Shadhaya Sarva Kamam Anvrutu Tasya Vai. Who's next?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Maharaj. Go ahead.
During the reign of Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira, the cloud showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. Due to a fatty milk bag and the cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing grounds with milk. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their taxes quota to the king in profusion. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So the prosperous kingdom of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj has been mentioned here. There was adequate and sufficient rain, and earth was producing all the necessities in profusion, like all the grains, fruits, flowers, everything, and as well as minerals, the metals, whatever that is coming out of earth, jewels, everything that earth can produce, that was in profusion in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaja's kingdom. Cows also were happy, and they were giving more than enough milk. There was so much milk that even the ground was getting moistened by the milk. And the next verse was talking about the rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and all the aushadhis, active drugs. They were also paying their tax quota to the king in profusion. That means there was enough of everything in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's kingdom. If you read these two purports, Srila Prabhupada is quite heavy in these two purports, purport 4 and 5. He says that we only need land and cows for economic development. All the necessities of human society, like the food grains, fruits, milk, minerals, clothing, wood, etc., everything that we can get from these two, earth and cow. If both earth and cow are happy, then we get everything in abundance. And then he goes to that heavy part. Why is there then a need for killing animals? Why can't we just be satisfied with grains, fruits, milk, and which can produce so many palatable dishes? What is the need for killing so many animals just for our sense gratification? Let's read the last paragraph of purport 4, Bhageshwari Mataji. We are all creatures of material.
We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord Himself is the seed-giving Father, and material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, Mother Material Nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men, by the grace of the Father Almighty, Sri Krishna. The human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals for realizing the course of nature and the indications of the Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs.
So Srila Prabhupada is saying that we are the elder brothers, like the human beings. We are the elder brothers of all the other living entities. So when we kill those animals, it is like the elder brother killing the younger sibling, just for some sense enjoyment. So that is the life of dogs and hogs. We have higher intelligence, and we have to use that higher intelligence for self-realization. And we have the responsibility to protect the other living entities. So we should not be living the life of dogs and hogs. We have received the human life. We should utilize it fully. And then Srila Prabhupada goes ahead in the purport of verse number 5, and he gives the secret of success in this material world. He says the secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, nothing can be possible. In the purport of 5, there is this italics line that is where towards the beginning of the purport itself. So that is the secret of success. That all these rivers, oceans, forests, hills, drugs, etc., they are not the creations of man. We haven't created them. They are all created by the Supreme Lord. And the living being is allowed to make use of them. This is the property of the Supreme Lord, and Lord is allowing us to use all of this property for the service of the Lord. So that is what we should be doing. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that again in the middle of the purport, that the rivers, oceans, forests, hills, trucks, etc. are not creations of man. They are all creations of the Supreme Lord. And the living being is allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. But then he continues and says that today's slogan is that we want to enjoy everything for our own sense gratification. So that is not good. And in Bhagavad Gita, we have learned that we only desire. So we can only desire. Lord has to sanction everything. And then once the Lord has sanctioned, then the material nature fulfills the desire. So even everything, like all the ingredients are given by the Lord, the desires are the only thing that we can actually have. The Lord has to sanction, and his energy material nature is going to fulfill that. When we know all of that the Lord is giving us so much, why should we actually not use what we have received from the Lord in his service? That is the emphasis that Srila Prabhupada is giving in these two purports. That let's not live like animals, like dogs and hogs, and utilize the human life for self-realization, just like how it was in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharāja's kingdom. So let us see how the citizens were in the kingdom. Verse number 6. Nadhayo vyadhaya klesha daiva bhutatmahetavaha ajata shatrava bhavan jantunam radnikarhichit. Aparna Mataji and then Pāṇḍavas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. I have a question from verse number 3. Do you want me to park it till end of the session, or do you want me to?
Yeah, let's continue, Mataji. Our questions we can take in the end today.
No problem. Hare Krishna.
My ambition,
because of the kings
today,
having no
sorry.
enemy.
Sorry, Mataji. My ambition today is to complete
Sorry.
this chapter. Let us see.
Okay, no problem, Prabhuji. I have written down, so that is there. I can ask later on. Thank you. Translation. Because of the kings having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excess.
Oh, suddenly you became muted, Mataji. Okay. So disturbed by mental agonies, disease, or excessive heat or cold. Fine. So it is mentioned that he is Ajata Shatru. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is Ajata Shatru. He had no enemies. And hence it is said that his citizens were happy. They were already in Vaikuntha. Why? There were no mental agonies. There were no disease, no excessive heat or cold caused by body, other living entities, and nature. So threefold miseries were not existent in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's kingdom. And that's why it is like Vaikuntha. There are no kuntha. It is all happiness only. We are suffering in this material world because of our own reactions caused by killing of so many animals. But in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's time, the minds of citizens were peaceful. The bodies were fit and healthy. There were no diseases. And there were no natural disturbances of excessive heat or cold. So it was a perfect, weather was perfect. There was no discussion Like in New Zealand, how is the weather? How is going to be the weather over the weekend? Because in Yudhiṣṭhira Maharāja's time, the weather was always good. So the one of the main talking point of Kiwis is gone. And there was no rugby as well. I think so. So both the subjects of Kiwis in New Zealand, rugby and weather, I don't know what they would have talked about then. So, but here we can see that the citizens of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj kingdom, they were happy. So kingdom was prosperous, citizens were happy, and Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was leading all of them towards self-realization. So that is how Suta Goswami has explained about Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's kingdom in answer to Shaunaka Rishi. Now moving on, he talks about how the Lord is now going to leave from Hastinapur. But before we go there, so this particular line that we read earlier in the purport, a very wonderful line. If the person, it is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. And if the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. So my question to you is, what can we learn about leadership from this statement of Srila Prabhupada? What can we learn about leadership from this statement of Srila Prabhupada? Amendra Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, so first thing is that he, rather than creating his own views and his own philosophy, wherever he is teaching, he is teaching as per Guru Shishya Parampara. And same as this has been highlighted in this chapter, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj also followed the same thing, that, okay, I know everything and I can decide something new. So that was, I guess, is the basis to start with.
Yeah, so he is passing the knowledge in the parampara, and that is why it is perfect. Adi Devi Mataji.
Prabhuji, this reminds me of the verse Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha. So basically, the way the leaders are, the common man will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. The consciousness of the leader will influence the others. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his actions as well. Correct. Surananda Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji, around the same lines, like Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj has no personal agenda, so he's just making sure he's just please Lord Krishna, following the instructions, and automatically everyone in the in his kingdom also satisfied, and they're doing the best what they can.
Okay. What else? Aparna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the question is, what can we learn about leadership from that specific verse?
Correct, Mataji.
Is that that's
Yeah,
the question,
that's
right?
correct.
Or am I cutting out? Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Am I? Oh, Krishna. Because am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my answer would be what we can learn about leadership, Prabhuji. So as you explained, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was a true devotee of Krishna, and he was following Krishna's instruction. In that way, if a leader is aligned with the mission and vision, which is aligned in the which is laid deeply in the spiritual principles, that is the leadership would be the most beneficial. Like it says that government is just impersonal establishment, but a person truly leads the country or the team or the whatever is in question. So aligning all their activities, policies, regulation spiritually, that would be the real success of a leader. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Sudharma Prabhuji, Sudharma Mataji. You're
Sorry,
still there,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, trying to unmute. Prabhuji, in the current scenario, we see only sometimes it's by hereditary. Like, my father was a leader, so the son is also becoming leader. We are seeing more of
Yeah.
those without any qualification. But from this, we can see like any person who is qualified can become a leader. So the person who has a good intention and who can lead the country should be made the leader, not by any other motivation, and who can serve the country and the people.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Anyone else has any other things that we can learn from this about leadership? So first thing that we can learn here is leadership is personal. It is mentioned that it is a person who rules, not the impersonal government. So the leadership is personal, never impersonal. So to help in the governance, there may be some systems or processes that may be created. But those systems and processes never lead. People lead. So we still require system, structure, process, policy, and all of those. But the quality of the leader is what determines the result. So systems and policies do not run themselves. A person runs those systems and policies. Hence, the character of the person who's running those systems and policies in the government is very important. So the culture that is there, that is not created by systems and policies. It is the leader who creates the culture. What he gives the importance to, that is how the culture is going to get created. So first thing that we can understand is leadership is personal, and the character of the person who's leading that government or any community or even a family, because leadership is not about like some political big leader who's running the country. We all are leaders in our own way. So we can learn that we can create some systems, processes, or whatever like that in our small world, but it has to be still personal. The second thing that we can learn is that the inner qualities of the leader that determines the outer success that he gets. Because it is said that if the person is perfect, the government is perfect. So the leaders have to develop the qualities like humility, the service attitude, devotion, compassion, purity, all of those qualities, like that currently in JOSD, we are talking about 26 qualities of a devotee. So all those qualities that we have to develop ourselves. And if we develop that inner purity, then the outer success will be coming out. Because remember, whenever there is some challenge, when we are squeezed, then whatever is there inside is going to come out. We have talked about that before. If you squeeze a mango, you will get mango juice. If you squeeze a bitter melon, then the bitter juice is going to come out. You can't expect a mango juice from a bitter melon. So if whatever is like, if inside us there is anger, hatred, envy, and outside we are showing that, oh, we are a very humble devotee or whatever. But when we are squeezed, when we are in challenging situation, then what will happen is what is there inside will come out. But if we have developed the inner purity, then even if we are in a challenging situation, all those good qualities will only come out. So the leaders have to develop this inner qualities. The third thing is, as Mataji was mentioning earlier, Adidevi Mataji, yad yad acharati shreshthas, tat tat eve tarojana. So leaders' actions and consciousness that influences their subjects. So the consciousness of the leader will develop the consciousness of the entire community. So if the community fails, then the leader must look inward first. Of course, in the material world, the pure devotees are so few. So even the imperfect devotees who have their own faults, but they are still somehow or the other, sometimes they take by the order of their superiors, they take some leadership position. So they have their own shortcomings. So the followers have multiple choices. They can see the 9 good qualities and this one, probably some shortcoming that the leader has. And the followers will just focus on that shortcoming and then they will just focus and imbibe that shortcoming in them. The other option is look at what 9 good qualities are there and try to imbibe those 9 good qualities in themselves. If you can't do that, imbibe all 10 qualities, good or bad. At least you would have developed the 9 good qualities. The best is that you focus on good and you try to imbibe good in you. And what the leader should do in that situation? The leader in that situation as well has to compassionately correct oneself first and then also correct others. And the followers should also learn to from the good qualities and also accept the correction. Otherwise, when we receive correction, we think that anyone who gives the correction is our enemy. And one who praises us and who helps us into our own way of working, they are our friends. It is generally not the case. So we need to actually understand who is our real well-wisher. The people who are keeping us where we are, or the people who are helping us to progress. And then, if there is some correction that comes, accept it gracefully. And then we can progress. Otherwise, what will happen is the leader is correcting themselves and moving. So leader will go back to Godhead, but the followers will remain here. Of course, leader will not be happy. That is not the purpose that why the leaders, at least in Krishna consciousness, they are accepting this service. Right? They want both the leaders and followers, they all go back to Godhead. The whole purpose of taking some leadership service in Krishna consciousness is that they are supposed to make sure that any devotees who are under their leadership, they go closer and closer to Krishna. So, leaders' actions and consciousness will influence others. So we have to actually improve our consciousness. And as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, if the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. So the bad leadership will create fool's paradise. There will be chaos, illusion, thinking that what is going on is well, when it is not a good thing. And the good leadership brings prosperity. So in spiritual organization, it will bring spiritual success. The prosperity is not the material prosperity that we're talking about. If it is a spiritual organization like ISKCON, then if there are good leaders, then there will be some good spiritual success that will be there. So very important lines when we actually going through the purport. Sometimes we just read through and don't even catch what some gems and jewels Srila Prabhupada has left for us in the purports. So it is one such jewel. We can learn so much from these 1 or 2 simple lines that Srila Prabhupada has written. That how the leaders, all of us, we are leaders in our office, leaders in our family. We have influence sometimes over our friends. So we are leaders for those friends. So we can learn so many things from this purport. Okay, let's move ahead. Now, verse number 7. उषित्वा हस्तिनापुरे मासान् कतिपयान् हरि सुहृदां च विशोकाय स्वशुश्च प्रियकाम्यया.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sri Hari, Lord Krishna, Sri Krishna resided in Hastinapura for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Lord Shri Krishna stayed in Hastinapur to pacify his relatives and especially his sister Subhadra. Of course, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord achieved many purposes. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharāja was aggrieved before, so he was pacified. He also gave special mercy to Bhishma Dev by being present when he was leaving the body. But here in this verse, the special other purpose is mentioned was to please his own sister Subhadra. Why? Because Subhadra's only son Abhimanyu Abhimanyu died, and he had just married to Uttara. So to pacify his own sister, Lord stayed there longer. Verse number 8. Amantra chabhyanyunyata parishvajabhivadyatam aruroha ratham kaischet parishvakto bhivaditaha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respect to Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira by bowing down at his feet, and the king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embarrassed by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. Hare Krishna.
I think this scene is happening again and again. Lord goes into the chariot, comes down, and stays there further. Let us see if he's successful this time. Now he is again sitting in the chariot. So he took permission from Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj to leave. And Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj gave the permission this time. It means that the younger ones won't do anything without permission from their elders. So Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is playing the human role here. So, as a younger cousin, he is actually seeking permission from Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj before he can leave. If Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj again says, no, 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 you please stay here for some more time, he has to again get down from the chariot or not even ride on the chariot. He has to stay there. But this time, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj understood that he has to also go back to Dvaraka to perform his other duty. Other devotees are also waiting. So he gave him permission this time. So Lord offered Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj obeisances. He paid respects to him because he was the elder cousin. And Lord, so Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj embraced him, and Lord embraced Bhima and Arjuna because they are same age. And Nakul and Sahadeva paid obeisances to Lord Shri Krishna because they are younger than Lord Shri Krishna, and Krishna then embraced them. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, no one is actually greater than or equal to the Lord, but he takes pleasure in being treated as younger than his devotees. He is asama urdhva. No one is equal or greater than him. But still, he performs all this pastime. He takes pleasure in being treated as younger by his devotees. Okay. Let's go ahead to 9 and 10. Read the translation directly. We have 1 more hour to go and try to complete.
At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yudhiṣṭhira, Kripacharya, Nakula, Sahadeva, Bhimasena, Dhaumya, and Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear the separation from Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lord is very attractive to all living beings. Srila Prabhupada starts the purport like this. The Lord Shri Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees. So Lord is very attractive, and because of that attraction, the heart of the devotees gets completely absorbed, and hence they can't bear the separation from the Lord. So all of these people which are like devotees who were mentioned, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, everyone. So they were feeling unbearable separation from the Lord. And hence, just by the thought, now Lord Shri Krishna is now sitting on the chariot, and he's departing, and now he's going to go from here. For a few months, we had the opportunity to have his association, but now he's going. They almost fainted. So Srila Prabhupada talks about how when Lord Shri Krishna was leaving Vrindavan, at that time all the Vrindavan Vasis felt separation from Krishna, especially gopis, and especially amongst gopis, Srimati Radharani. How much separation they felt from Krishna, and they also fainted at that time. So Srila Prabhupada is reminding us that how all these wonderful devotees, they have so much attraction for the Supreme Lord that they can't bear the separation from the Supreme Lord. It is the Vipralamba Bhava that is going on. And the next chapter is going to talk about Sambhoga, Vipralamba here and Sambhoga there. So the separation here and coming together in the next chapter. So he's separating from Hastinapur Vasis and he's going to meet the Dvaraka Vasis in the next chapter. Next two verses, 11, 12.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can I read?
Yeah, there are few hands up, Mataji. You can read after them. So Surananda Prabhu, Srinivasa Mataji, Paminder Prabhu, Shama Kumari Mataji, and then Ashoka Mataji. You can do. You remember that sequence.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him.
Hare Krishna. So whose intelligent is mentioned? One who gives up the bad association by associating with the pure devotees. Satsanga mukta dussango. It's the verse starts like this. Satsanga mukta dussango hatum notsahate buddha. Who's Buddha? That's satsanga mukta dussango. Using satsanga, they are getting freed from dussanga. Giving up the bad association by associating with the pure devotees. Satsanga. Those people are intelligent. And such people cannot give up hearing about the Lord's glories, even if they have just heard it once. So those people who have given the bad association, they are coming in contact with satsanga, pure devotees, even if they have just heard the glories of the Krishna, Supreme Lord, once, they are not able to give it up. So they get so much attached even after hearing once. And they become very absorbed. Now imagine Pandavas, who had been intimately associated with the Supreme Lord in person. They were able to see him, they were able to touch him, they are able to talk to him, they are sleeping with him, they are sitting with him, they are eating with him. So imagine how much more attached they would be. Just hearing once, even those people who are not perfect, they are just coming in association with pure devotees, they become so attached and absorbed in Krishna. Now these pure devotees, they are intimately associated with Krishna. How much more attached and absorbed they would be in Krishna consciousness. And the more the Krishna consciousness, more separation that they will feel from Krishna. So you can imagine how much separation they are feeling here and experiencing here. And that is why they are almost fainting. Okay, next verse, 13.
All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity.
So there, Srila Prabhupada is saying, actually in the translation itself, it is mentioned, verse, that their hearts were melting for the Lord on the pot of attraction. So the pot which is on the stove is of the attraction. And what is in that pot is the heart of the devotee. And because this pot of attraction is in this fire, so their heart is completely melting. And they are looking at the Lord because they are now, Lord is leaving from there. So they are thinking that even if I blink my eyes, that means I will miss out on seeing the Lord. Just like gopis are blaming Lord Brahma for creating the eyelids. So now they are unblinkingly, they are looking at Krishna so that they can actually absorb him more and more. And then they are just moving here and there in perplexity. The purport is very wonderful. Let's read the last few lines. This association is made possible. Who's next here?
Hare Krishna. This association is made possible not only by personal contact with Lord, but also by association with his name, fame, form, and quality. Srimad Bhagavatam trains the conditional soul to the stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
So how do we associate with the Lord? So that is mentioned here. that we can associate with the Lord just by hearing his name, fame, form, and quality. Lord and his name, fame, form, quality are non-different. And Srimad Bhagavatam actually gives us this opportunity to hear about the name, fame, form, and qualities of the Supreme Lord. So if you regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam or read Srimad Bhagavatam and the purports by Srila Prabhupada, that is associating with Srila Prabhupada, then we are associating with the Lord through Srimad Bhagavatam like this. And then we will also develop this attraction for the Supreme Lord. We will get also fully absorbed in Supreme Lord, and we will also start feeling separation from the Supreme Lord. 14th verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The female relatives whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause much misfortune at the time of departure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The women relatives, their eyes, they were flooded with the tears. And it is said that it was flood of the tears. It was not like one or two tears here and there. The flood, it was like the tears were just incessantly pouring. But when they came out of the palace to see of the Lord, they were stopping those tears with great difficulty. Why? Because they were worried that the tears will bring inauspiciousness for the Lord when he is departing. Let us read a paragraph here, like half of the purport. Therefore, ladies who were the wives. Who's next?
I think it's me, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Therefore, ladies who were the wives and daughter-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Krishna, but all of them heard of him and his great activities, and thus they thought of him, talked to him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate. Also, like those who were in direct contact. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Krishna, talks of Krishna, or worships Krishna becomes attached to him. Because Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. Hare Krishna.
Isn't that wonderful? Like we do not have to have direct contact, because it is mentioned here that many of these ladies, they did not have direct contact with Krishna. They were indirectly in contact with Krishna through those who were directly contacted to Krishna. So those who had direct contact of Krishna, from them they heard the glories of Krishna, what he is doing, what like his activities, pastimes, various different things that they heard, and they also got attached to Krishna, just like it was not. It is said that they were attached just like those who were directly in contact with Krishna. It was not that they were less attached to Krishna as compared to those who are in direct contact with Krishna. They had similar attraction, similar absorption as those who were directly in contact with Krishna. So those ladies who were directly in contact with Krishna, like Kunti, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, they were of course very attached and absorbed in Krishna, and they were feeling separation. But all these other ladies who were not in direct contact, because they heard from these, they also developed the same attraction, absorption for Krishna. So this is like a big hope for all of us. We are not losing out. We are not losing out because we are not getting Lord's direct darshan. Lord is absolute. So anyone who's in direct or indirect contact, they will get attracted to Krishna. And as in the previous verse, purport and this purport, so it is mentioned that our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, or remembering him. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. This wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam as well as the Bhakti Vaibhav that some of you are doing, that is going to help you to do this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Vishnu Smaranam is reserved for those who are giving exams because they have to get absorbed completely, remember, they have to do some Smaranam as well. But at least the others are getting benefited of Shravanam, Kirtanam. Okay, let us go to the next verse. I think it was Asoka Mataji, your turn has come now.
No, Prabhu, can I read this one?
Yeah, go ahead. 15.
While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapur, different types of drums like the mridanga, dhol, nagara, dundhuri, and dundubi, and flutes of different types, the veena, gomukha, and bheri, all sounded together to show him honor. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. So before we go to that verse 15, so these last few verses gave us very wonderful points about giving up bad association, how we can give up bad association. So Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purports as well as through the translation, we understood that the bad association can be given up by understanding the Supreme Lord in the association of pure devotees. And in the association of devotees, hear Srimad Bhagavatam and associate with Lord's name, fame, form, and pastime. So that way, you are directly associating with the Lord and directly associating with the pure devotees. So if you are in contact with Bhakta and Bhagavan, Bhakti is going to develop. So of course, we know from the last session we talked about the difference between just being in presence and in association. So remember those points, so how to take the association of devotees. And then we can give up the bad association. Okay, so Krishna is getting honored in these verses 15 to 19. So different, various different this musical instruments, somewhere drums, somewhere flutes, somewhere string instruments, they were all sounded to show him honor. So like mridanga, dhola, nagara, dunduri, dundubi, flutes of different kinds, veena, and gomukha, bheri, all of these musical instruments were sounded. Next verse, 16. Aparna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation: Out of a loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace and, smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the Kuru women, they went on the rooftop of the palaces to see Krishna, and they were smiling with affection and shyness. They showered flowers upon him. And Srila Prabhupada, this entire purport he has dedicated to shyness of the woman. So he says, the first line itself, shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. So shyness adds to the beauty of women. And he further says, towards the middle of that, like towards the end, middle, this shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex, and it enhances their beauty and prestige. Even if they are of less important family, or even if they are less attractive. So even if someone is less attractive, they become more attractive because they have this wonderful quality of shyness. Let us read the last few lines of this purport. They say that the woman is considered. Shama Mataji.
They say that the woman is considered to be the fire and the man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift, and it must be utilized.
Because women are shy by nature, the automated, like just the free mixing between women and men doesn't happen, like at least in the Vedic times. because the shyness creates the check. It stops them from freely mixing with the men. And then this unwanted progeny that was getting that was talked in the first chapter by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that doesn't come, because men and women, they are like fire and butter, and if the fire and butter comes together, the butter is going to melt. So that is why if there is a free mixing, then there will be some intimate relationship will be developed, and then there will be problems. So what is mentioned is the shyness is a check for this unrestricted mixing. It also attracts, it makes the fair sex more beautiful and more attractive. Okay, let's move. 17.
At that time, Arjuna, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who is the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So Arjuna held a beautiful umbrella on the head of Lord Shri Krishna. And this umbrella was decorated with jewels, pearls, laces. And now we can see that earlier Krishna was playing the menial part. He was becoming the charioteer of of Arjuna. But now Arjuna is back to his normal position. The Lord is the Lord, he's the master, and I am his servant. And as a friend as well, he is now holding up the umbrella on the head of Lord Shri Krishna when he is leaving. Next verse.
Uddhava Satiki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as the master of Madhu, seated on the scattered flowers, commanded them along the road.
So Krishna is sitting on the seat, which has lots of flowers which are scattered on it, and Arjuna is standing behind with an umbrella, and Uddhava and Satyaki are standing on both sides, and they are doing fanning the Lord, and the Lord is seated in between. So that is why this service, when we have some abhishek going on for the deities, at that time we always want someone to chamar the Lord, to fan the Lord. This service is very important and intimate service. It is not that someone who is just free, we just ask them to, okay, come and do some chamar to the deities. No, you can see here, Uddhava and Satyaki, they are the closest friends of Krishna. They are performing this service. You can see in the photo picture as well that these are the two are fanning the Lord with a chamar. So this is an intimate service. Only friends are able to do that, or very dear and close servants can do that to the Lord. So if you get an opportunity to hold the umbrella or do fanning of the Lord, consider yourself very, very fortunate. 19th verse.
It was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting, because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the Brahmanas, while all of this is happening, the Brahmanas were chanting the Vedic hymns, and through them they are giving benedictions to the Supreme Lord. And they are saying they were befitting and at the same time unbefitting. Why? They are befitting because the Lord is playing the part of a human being. So as a human being, then the Brahmanas can chant the verses to give him the long life, give him a lot of wealth, opulence, power, prestige, all of those things. So it is a befitting blessing that they are offering. But at the same time, they are unbefitting. Why? Because the Lord is absolute. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. So for him, there are these material relativities that doesn't exist, like having a long life versus short life, like more wealthy or less wealthy, or more powerful or weak. All of these things, like the duality doesn't exist for him. He's absolute. So the Brahmanas are doing their duty. They are actually chanting out of their affection for the Lord. They are giving various benedictions. And the Lord is accepting, whether they are befitting, non-befitting, He's just accepting them. Next verse, 20. Oh, this is the Sorry, this is a wonderful verse. Let us recite. Anyonyam asita sanjalpa uttama shloka chetasam kauravendra purasrinam sarvashruti manoharaha.
Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the ladies who are on the rooftop, they were absorbed in the thoughts of qualities of Lord. And in that absorption, they are now talking of the Lord. Now the Lord is already glorified by the select poetry. So Uttama Shloka, Chetasam. And the ladies on the roof, they are just based on whatever they have heard, they are glorifying. But this talk of these ladies on the rooftops of the palaces of Hastinapur was more attractive to the Lord than the hymns of the Vedas. And Srila Prabhupada explains why that is so. Towards the end of the purport, you can read the Vedic hymns in the Upanishads are sometimes indirectly directed to the Supreme Lord. But the talks of the ladies were directly spoken of the Lord, and thus they were more pleasing to the heart. So the Vedas sometimes indirectly glorify the Lord. Sometimes they talk about him as Brahman, as like impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma. But here, the ladies of Hastinapur are talking directly about the person Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are glorifying the Lord directly. They are not eating like this, going around the head. They are directly glorifying the Supreme Lord. So this talk was more pleasing to the Lord than that indirect glorification sometimes that happens through the Vedic hymns. Verse number 21. Savai kilayam purusha puratano ya ek asid vishesh atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishware nimilitatman nishi supta shaktishu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of all the modes of nature, and in him only, because of he is Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So various different these ladies on the rooftop, they are talking about the Supreme Lord, glorifying him. So how they are various different glorification we can see now. So they are talking about, oh, this he's the same person who is the original Purusha. And who's that original Purusha they are talking about? The three Purusha avatars we saw, that there is Karanodakshai Vishnu, then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Shirodakshai Vishnu. So the original Purusha is Karanodakshai or Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu existed before creation, because from the pores of his body, when he's breathing in and out, these universes in the seed form are coming, and then they are becoming very gigantic. And then at the time of annihilation, all the jivas are again going into that same Mahavishnu. They are merging into the Supreme Lord in the Purusha avatar of Mahavishnu. But it is not that they are losing the identity. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that it is not that when they are merging into Mahavishnu at the time of annihilation, that they lose their identity. When they wake up in another creation, they continue their activities where they had left. So just like when we are sleeping, we forget everything, who we are, what we are doing, etc. And in the dream, we may be a completely different person doing something else. But when we wake up, we continue from where we had left before sleeping. So similarly, when the annihilation happens, when the jivas who are not yet liberated, they again go back into Mahavishnu, another creation, they will again come back. That is how the things continue. Next verse, 22. Sa eva bhuyo nijavirya choditam swajiva mayam prakritim sishukshatim anama rupatmani rupanamani vidit samano nusasara shastrakrit.
Translation: The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, placed them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate. Hare Krishna.
So Lord created Maya and empowered her to recreate. So he is the original Purusha. He creates this annihilation, maintenance, and creation, everything he creates. But as part of that, he created Maya, his own energy, and he empowered her to recreate and place all the jivas under her jurisdiction to give all of us names and forms. And he also created scriptures at the same time. Because if you see, his name in the verse is called Shastrakrit. So not only he created jivas and this Maya and this material world as per our desire, but at the same time, as per his desire, he created Shastras, scriptures, and gave the scriptures to us so that we have a way to go back to Godhead. When we are done with our business, all our sense enjoyment, sense gratification, we are frustrated from it, then finally we will turn to somewhere and then we'll find, oh, Bhagavad Gita as it is there. Srimad Bhagavatam is there. Chaitanya Charitamrita is there. These devotees are there. And then we can take the knowledge, the perfect knowledge which is given in the Shastras, and then we can go back to Godhead. 23. Sava ayam yat padamatra suryo jitendriya nirjitamatahishwanaha pashyanti bhaktyutkalita malatmana nanvesha sattvam parimarshtum arhati.
Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence.
Thank you, Maharaj. So here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these ladies are saying, oh, here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced only by great devotees. Only great devotees who have completely purified of the material consciousness. So in the previous verses, we saw that Lord has created this Maya and placed under it, but at the same time gave us the Shastras. But those devotees who have rigidly followed the practice and they control their life and the senses. So their life and senses under their control, they have rigidly followed the practice, and through that they have purified themselves. Then such pure devotees are able to experience the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Lord's form is perceived by bhakti. So in a way, they are thinking that this Supreme Personality of Godhead, if just to see this transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, people have to actually do so much austerities. They have to go through this rigid practice, sadhana, bhakti, and whatever. But we are so fortunate that we are able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are actually glorifying bhakti, but also thinking that they are quite fortunate that they are able to see the Lord. And actually, it is not that they haven't done the devotional service themselves. Shravanam is a devotional service. Kirtanam is a devotional service. So because they have heard from the right sources, and because those devotees are in Ragatmika Bhakti already with the Supreme Lord, they are directly gone into the stage of Raganuga Bhakti by hearing from such wonderful devotees. And then they have got purified in the contact of such pure devotees. Of course, the desire has to be there. We have seen that in the previous session that Duryodhan also got all the opportunity but was not purified because he did not have the desire to transform his life in association of devotees. But some fortunate ladies, these women, they were fortunate enough to transform their life, got purified, and they got to see the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. 24th. Sava ayam sakhyanu nugita satkatho vedeshu guhyeshu cha guhyavadibhi ya eka isho jagatatma leelaya srujatyavatyatti na tatra sajjate.
Translation. Oh, dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead, whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literatures by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, and yet remains unaffected.
So here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is mentioned, whose transcendental pastimes are mentioned in the confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam that we are reading, and it has become so much easily available by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we think, what is confidential in it? Everywhere it is there. It is on Veda base. It is on internet, and everyone has access to it. What is so confidential about it? But if you actually look at the vast uh, range of literature which are available, um, from that, choosing the right scripture, and by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it has now so widely, easily available. So it is completely by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we are getting it. Otherwise, this is very confidential to understand the personal, um, this Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela, all the personal characteristics, attributes of the Supreme Lord. To know about that so easily and to hear about it so easily is not available in the to everyone. And in the previous times, it was so difficult to find even one copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are now very fortunate to get it so easily. So here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose pastimes are mentioned in the confidential scriptures by his pure devotees. And he is the one who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world. And yet he remains unaffected. It is not that because he's doing these activities or some karma, he gets affected by that karma. He is absolute. He is above that karma. He is the one who governs the karma. 25. Yada iha dharmena tamodhiyo nrupa jivanti tatraisha hi satvata kila dhatte bhagam satyamritam dayam yasho bhavaya rupani dadadyuge yuge yuge.
Translation. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, and the Lord, in his transcendental form, manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to these faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Thank you.
Thank you. So whenever there are kings and administrators, they are living a life like animals in the mode of ignorance. Then the Lord appears in his various transcendental form as per the yugas. So this is the same what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So when the dharma is deteriorating, when the kings and administrators they are living like animals in the mode of ignorance, and following them, their subjects are also in ignorance. So the dharma is getting destroyed at that time. At that time, the Lord appears to re-establish the principles of religion. So when he comes, what happens? He establishes the supreme power, Bhagam, truth, Satyam, positiveness, Ritam, mercy, Daya, Yasha means his wonderful activities. And everything, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions here, as well as in the translation, it is mentioned that everything is actually property of the Lord. And everyone can take their share without encroaching upon the share of others, including animals. So, Srila Prabhupada is referring to the Ishopanishad, verse number 1. Ishavasham idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magridham kasya svidhanam. that everything, animate or inanimate, everything is a property of the Supreme Lord. And it is controlled and owned by the Lord. So that's why what we should do, we can actually just take things necessary for us. What is our quota? Take that quota. And we should understand whatever, everything that is there, who it is owned by. It is owned by the Supreme Lord. So we should just take what he has given to us. Take our quota and then leave everything else for the other living beings. Srila Prabhupada actually mentions that the king is a representative of the Supreme Lord. So what is the meaning of the representative then in that case? That he has to look after the management of Lord's will. If you see in the first paragraph, around in the middle, it is said, the king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. So the king or any leader is supposed to be managing Lord's will. And what is the desire of the Lord? The desire of the Lord is simple, that bring all these people on the path of self-realization and then bring them back to the spiritual world. And to sustain in the material world, he has given enough. So if the king and administrators see that someone is exploiting and taking away the parts which were not their quota, then king has to make sure that they set it right. But sometimes the king themselves, they are exploiting the people. So to chastise the rebellious people, such rebellious people, and to protect the faithful, then the Lord appears. And then he appears in different forms, transcendental form, depending on the age and the time and whatever is the need. Then he takes that form, and then he saves the faithful, and then chastise the rebellious people. Yeah, let us move on. 26th verse. 26. Aho alam shlagyatamam yadokulam, aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam, yadesha pumsam rishabhashriyapati, swajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Translation. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Yadus and the land of Mathura is very glorious. So they are glorifying now Yadu dynasty and Mathura. Why? Because Lord appeared in Yadu dynasty. And at the same time, in Mathura, like the Mathura Mandal in Vrindavan, he performed his childhood pastimes. So that is why at the place where he has taken birth, and in the dynasty that he appeared, both are very, very glorious. Srila Prabhupada quotes the analogy of a son to mention about his birth. So let us read that. We have discussed that before, but it is still very wonderful. Adidevi Mataji, can you find in the first paragraph, after 3-4 lines, it starts with, his birth is like the appearance and disappearance.
His birth is like the appearance and disappearance of the sun. The sun arises on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at a scheduled time, and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. Similarly, the Lord appears like the sun and again leaves our sight at another time. He exists at all times and at every place, but by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his birth.
Yeah, that's fine. So Srila Prabhupada is giving the analogy of sun to mention that when the Lord takes birth doesn't mean that he is taking birth just like all of us. It is like sun who appears and disappears from our vision. So he goes one step further in this analogy for when he has given the analogy elsewhere. He hasn't mentioned this, but here he says that sun appears on the eastern horizon doesn't mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. No, it is just coming into our vision. The sun is already existent, and it is just becoming visible and invisible. Similarly, the Lord, when he appears, it is not like he's taking in the material body. He's just appearing in front of our vision, and sometimes when he departs, he just disappears from our vision. And Srila Prabhupada mentions further, and in Bhagavad Gita as well, it is mentioned that knowing the appearance, the transcendental appearance and activities of the Lord, one gets liberated. That 4.9, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, it is mentioned. So it is, Srila Prabhupada is actually using that, and he's saying that just by knowing the transcendental appearance and activities, someone gets liberated. Therefore, you can imagine that what would one get if they are part of their pastimes? Just someone understands the transcendental nature of his appearance and activities, the person gets liberated. Now imagine someone who's part of those pastimes. What they will get? They will definitely get something more than liberation. That is why it is said here, and in the book it is marked as italics in the last two lines. That certainly obtained something more than what is known as liberation. So they will get something more than liberation, which is the prema, love of Godhead. And hence the Yadu dynasty and Mathura Mandal is glorified, that they got to be part of this pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Now the next verse, Dvaraka is glorified. Aho batas swarya sashastitas tiraskari kushasthali punya yashaskari bhuvaha pashanti nityam yadanugrahe graheshitam smitavalokam swapatim smayat prajaha.
Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dvaraka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dvaraka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Hare Krishna.
So Dvaraka is glorious. Why? Because now Lord is going from Hastinapur to Dvaraka, and that is where the Lord actually is staying. And the ladies from Hastinapur are saying that Dvaraka is more glorious than heaven. And it is so glorious that because Dvaraka is on earth, earth's fame is increased. And the reason they are saying is that because the inhabitants in Dvaraka constantly see Krishna. And Krishna is no ordinary person. He is Paramatma in everyone's heart. And this same Paramatma is present in front of them and are glancing at them and giving sweet smiles. So, in a way that they are saying that a glance from Krishna and his sweet smile is much better than the opulence of enjoyment that we can get in the heavenly planet. The stay in heaven is temporary, but once someone is favored by the Lord, then they get to eternally stay in his dham, in the spiritual world. And the Lord and his dhams are non-different. So Srila Prabhupada, that is why it's saying further that Lord and dham are they are non-different. So if we visit the holy dham like Dvaraka, Mathura, Vrindavan, and render some devotional service there, then that gets magnified. Srila Prabhupada said that it gets magnified. towards the end of the second paragraph. He said, so above mentioned three places, namely Dvaraka, Mathura, or Vrindavan. Because devotional service in these three places is magnified, those who go there to follow the principles in terms of instruction imparted in the revealed scripture surely achieve the same result as obtained during the presence of the Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord and Lord's Dham are not different. So when you go to the Dham, you are actually associating with the Lord himself. And any service that we do at the Dham, that gets magnified multiple times, because we are doing that service in association with the Supreme Lord. And the next few verses, Lord's wives in Dvaraka, they are glorified. 28. Nunam vratasnana huta dineshwarah samarchito yasya gruhita panibhi pibanti ya sakhyadharamritam muhur vrajastriya sammumuhur yadashayah.
Translation. O friend, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar from his lips. The damsels of Rajabhumi would often faint just by accepting such favors.
Not accepting, expecting. Even just expecting such
Expecting.
favor from the Lord, the damsels in like all the gopis in Vrindavan, they just faint. So the fortune of wives of Krishna and the favor of gopis is explained here. So the wives of Krishna, they must have. So these Hastinapur ladies are thinking that, oh, wives of Krishna are so fortunate that they are getting to enjoy the nectar of Krishna through his lips by kissing. So they must have performed lots of vows, so many holy baths that they may have taken into the rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, and they must have performed fire sacrifices in their past lives, done perfect worship of Krishna. Only then that is possible that they would have got this opportunity. And they get this opportunity, which Vrajagopis, even just by thinking that they will get this, that expectation, they will faint. It is not that the wives in Dvaraka, they are more glorious than the Vrajagopis. In fact, by seeing this, doing this comparison, they have glorified Vrajagopis. That Vrajagopis, they are so absorbed and attached to Krishna, even in just by thinking that Krishna is going to kiss them, they are already fainted. They are already in ecstasy. Whereas, like there is no comparison from in the devotees, but that is not happening for Dvaraka, the wives in Dvaraka. So Vrajagopis are the highest in the Madhurya Ras. Srila Prabhupada also talks about Swakiya and Parkiya Ras in the purport, so please read. 29. Ya virya shulkena hrita swayamvare pramatya chaidya pramukhan hi shushminah pradyumna sambamba sutadayo para yascha vrita bhaumavadhe sahasrashah. Who's next? Surananda Prabhu? You have read or you are about?
Yes, Prabhu, I read.
Okay, then next one.
Hare Krishna, Ashoka Mataji. I saw you were unmuting yourself. Do you want to read? You can
Yes.
take my turn.
Okay, Prabhu, I will read. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. The children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmani, Satyabhama, and Jamvati were forcibly taken away by him from their uh, Swamvara ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings headed by the Sisupal. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Bhomasur Bhaumasura, and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Bache. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna
So Pradyumna, Samba, Amba are the children of the Lord and his wives in Dvaraka. And it is the Hastinapur ladies are saying that Lord took away Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati from their Swayamvar ceremony after defeating many powerful kings. And he also killed Bhaumasur and then married all the princesses, 16,100 princesses who were imprisoned by Bhaumasur. So all of them are glorious. The 16,108 wives that Krishna has in Dwarka, they are all glorious. 30th verse. Etah param sritvam pastapeshalam nirastha shaucham batasadu kurvate yasam guhat pushkar lochana patir najatva paitya vritibhir hridip sprashan.
All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. Hare Krishna.
So all these wives of Krishna, they have been glorified. And they have, like these wives, they have glorified their own lives despite their being without individuality and without purity, it is mentioned. And especially this is referring to the 16,100 wives or the princesses who were captured by Bhaumasara for his own carnal pleasure. So from other people's perspective, they were all fallen women. But Krishna accepted them as his wives because Krishna, soul, he understands that souls are spiritual and the body is material. And there are no material disqualification of a devotee. Srila Prabhupada says, like third or fourth line in the purport, there is no bodily disqualification of a devotee. Just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. So from other society people's perspective, they are thinking that these princesses, they were captured by Bhaumasara for his own sex enjoyment. They are all fallen. And they wouldn't be even accepted back into their own families, even if they were freed. But Krishna accepted them. And not only he accepted them as his own wives. Srila Prabhupada says further, their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of their devotion. So their intention was genuine, honest, and hence their devotion purified them. And hence Krishna accepted them. And it was not that just for the namesake that, okay, no one is going to accept you, so I will accept you as my wife so that you get some name for it. He did not do like that. He actually always spent time with them. He never left them. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. So he did not treat them differently than Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, like these other 8 queens that he had taken before. He treated them equally. Isn't that amazing how Krishna is? Whether you are fallen or not fallen. Once you become his devotee, he will accept you fully. Very, very wonderful verse and very hope-giving verse for all of us. 31st. Let's read the translation from here onwards. 31.
Sorry. While the ladies of the capital Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord, smiling, accepted their good greetings, and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. Thank you.
So the Lord smiled at the ladies who were speaking about him. So Lord heard all of that. And he accepted their good greetings, casting his glance over them smilingly, and then he departed the city. Next one.
Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army, to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras demons. The Maharaja did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira, he's called Ajata Shatru. He doesn't consider anyone his enemy, but still, because of his affection for Krishna, he was fearful. He was fearful that Lord Krishna will be harmed when he's going from here to Dvaraka, because he is the enemy of the demons, and there are so many other kings, demoniac kings. They may be actually attacking Krishna, thinking that now he is alone when he's going. He arranged the 4 divisions of defense for Krishna. He sent so many horses, elephants, chariots, soldiers to protect the Lord. Now, Lord can protect himself and others as well. But he understood the love and affection that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj has for him, and he accepted this arrangement. He said, okay, you want to send all this with me? Fine, I will accept it as your love for me. Next one. 33.
Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas who were of the Kuru dynasty accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dvaraka with his dear companions.
So this is typical Vedic behavior. Someone comes to your house and they are leaving now, you accompany them. If you are not sent back, then what will happen? You will just reach the destination, Dvaraka. So all the Pandavas, they are accompanying Krishna for a considerable distance. It is not that they just came to the door of the palace and said, Hare Krishna, see you next time. No, no. They went with him. They are also walking with his chariot, and they are going with him. And they went considerable distance. Finally, Krishna had to actually ask them, now you return, you go back. They were not able to bear the separation from the Lord. So they were just wanting to go with him. So finally, Lord persuaded them that, okay, you go back. Hastinapur needs you. You go there. And then Lord Shri Krishna, he went with his dear companions. He proceeded to Dvaraka. Now, even though it is said that the Pandavas went, not all Pandavas went. Arjuna went with Krishna. He is holding the umbrella. Who's going to hold the umbrella for Krishna otherwise? Arjuna said that I am going to go. I have to hold umbrella on Krishna's head. Otherwise, Krishna will be troubled. So he went with Krishna just to hold umbrella on his head. 34 and 35.
Seneca, the Lord then proceeded towards Keru Jangla, Panchala, Surasena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahma, Varta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saravata, the province of desert and the land of the scarcity water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Suruvira and Ambira province. Then west of these reached the Dvaraka at last. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So the Lord passed through various different provinces. Now he has started from Hastinapur. He is going to Dvaraka. So various different provinces that he crossed, they are mentioned here. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that it looks like that from the names, he traveled through Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, and Gujarat to reach Dvaraka. So, next verse, last verse of this chapter.
On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Thank you.
So Lord was welcomed and worshipped and given gifts everywhere he went. So wherever he was passing through, the king of that province will actually welcome the Lord. He will make the arrangement, and after the sunset, the Lord will stop his journey. It is not that he was traveling 24/7. He was going leisurely. So in the evening, he will stop And of course, he has to also perform his evening rites. And Srila Prabhupada talks about he doesn't have to actually do anything, but because has to set example in front of others, he still follows all the rituals and the dharma that so that others people will also follow by seeing him. So he did like that. And then finally he has reached Dvaraka. So in the previous words itself, it is said that at least in the end, he has reached Dvaraka. So that is how this wonderful chapter has gone through. It is unimaginable, like in a novel. Like if you imagine a novel, and one whole chapter is talked about the hero is going from one place to another. In general, how it will be that okay, the person has just gone from he has taken a flight or he has taken a car and he traveled from one place, Delhi to Dwarka, he has gone. But here, this entire chapter is explaining how he is departing from Hastinapur. And now how he is welcomed into Dwarka is the next chapter. So we will pause here. Today is such an auspicious occasion of Ekadashi. So we have talked about Lord Shri Krishna on this wonderful day from Srimad Bhagavatam and also understood the feelings of all the Pandavas, the Hastinapur Vasis, especially the ladies in Hastinapur who are from the rooftop. They are talking about Lord Shri Krishna. So our Ekadashi, our day is now fulfilled. So let us pause here and we will see any summary points, questions, comments, reflections from all of you. Yes, Pamendra Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just observation that in spite of like all the qualities we have, love is the most quality Lord is looking for. So he in this chapter, it is giving example of Hastinapur ladies as well. So they were not as qualified as Brahman in terms of knowledge. So they were not full versed with Vedas, but their prayers were like full of love. So that's one example. Second was given within that prayer was wives of Krishna as well. That like from a exterior world they were like unqualified to be a king's wife, but he accepted all of them just because. And there was a hint in there that they were like based on their maybe past, what do you call it, karmas or prayers or whatever it was. So maybe love out of that he accepted them. That's for me is a key learning for this.
Yeah, because of their devotion, he accepted them. Shama Kumari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Even though I've read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam a couple of times, but I never really realized that these are the prayers by those ladies of Hastinapur towards Lord. They are glorifying the Lord, just like Queen Kunti and Bhishma Dev, they are glorifying, and these are the prayers of the ladies of Hastinapur. So these that's a new thing to me, Prabhuji. Like even though I've read it a couple of times, it's still just kind of like never thought of this like this. So thank you so much for that. And my question, can I ask a question, Prabhuji?
Yes, yeah? Mother, go ahead.
So Prabhuji, if as you mentioned that followers when we were in the beginning we were talking about leadership, and then you mentioned followers should take the corrections submissively and accept the corrections gracefully. And what if someone comes to us, they give us a suggestion and they just and we, without asking, they give us a suggestion and then we just tell and then we are kind of like, oh, and then they expect and they say that you should listen to my corrections submissively and accept them gracefully. What should we do under such circumstances?
So it is like the patient has to go to the doctor, and then the patient has to say that I am having this problem, and then I require some medicine. And with that faith, when the patient has approached the doctor, whatever medicine the doctor gives, that will have some effect. If the suddenly doctor comes to you and says that, hey, take this medicine, you will be cured, then because there is no faith involved, unless you already have a good connection with the doctor, and because he's so well-wisher, he's seeing you coughing and sneezing and whatever, he says, "Hey, take this medicine." But if that established relationship is not there, then the faith to follow the instructions is lacking. So at that time, it can become a burden. So if you find such suggestion that you have received is useful for you, and you can learn something from it, then you can always accept it and continue. If it is going against some other good instructions that you have received from your other mentors or your spiritual master, then you can respectfully say that if it is just a casual conversation, you can just take it and don't do anything with it. But if they keep following up, then you can respectfully mention to them that I am actually receiving guidance from such and such devotees, and as per their instructions, I am following and doing this particular service. Yeah, this service is also very wonderful that you are saying, but I am not able to do it at this point because I am busy in this. Something like that we can always do. Respectfully, we can say. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, quickly, just I'll ask that as you mentioned that during Abhishek we can offer chamara and a chatar as well to umbrella to Krishna. So is it when someone asks us to do it, or we can just say that okay, maybe I have heard it in Srimad Bhagavatam, so maybe can I do this service, of offering chamara and chatra?
We can, and as long as we are not like if somebody has been assigned to do that service, we don't want to actually take away their service and say that, hey, I want to do, and that way we will displease them. But as long as no one else is doing, or even that service is not even allocated, then we can always put our hand up and say that, can I do this service?
Can ladies Brahmana do that? Those who
Yeah,
have second initiative?
yeah, they can do that service as well.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Aparna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Again, a wonderful session, especially on Ekadashi day. So we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. I have 3 quick questions, and
let's go with one at a time.
They're very quick questions, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine.
One at a time. One at a time. Okay. So, okay, which one should I ask first? Verse number 3. So, verse number 3, Prabhuji, the translation says that.
You're cutting off, Madaji. I can't hear you.
Translation says that. Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Is it better?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So, Prabhuji, when it says that all the misgivings, I'm not reading the whole translation, but it says that, because all his misgivings were eradicated. So, what misgivings is being talked about in this translation of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj?
Did we not already discuss that, Mataji? That he was thinking that all this massacre has happened because he wanted to become a king, and that is why he is very sinful, and because of that sin, and that sin cannot be even cleaned by doing Ashwamedha Yagyas, all of that, his lamentation that was there previously, that was all his misgiving.
Yeah.
It is not that
the
the war happened because of that. The reality was that Krishna desired that a pious king, or not even pious, like a pure devotee of his become a king. And because of that, this has happened. So it is Krishna's arrangement. So Bhishmadev clarified to him that you have to accept it as a Lord's will. That is how he cleared his misgiving of he being responsible for all this massacre.
Right, Prabhuji. So his lamentation is same as his misgivings. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
then it
that
makes
was quick.
sense,
So
Prabhuji.
you can
Thank
do
you
the
so
second
much.
question as well.
Thank you, Prabhuji. In your explanation about leaders and how leaders should act, that was really wonderful. My question was, if we have started a leadership, it could be a spiritual community, it could be in your real situation, maybe leading a team. When the followers are not ready to comply with the instructions or with the process, how much patience you should have to let them do what they are doing, and then you interject and make them come to the right track. Like you can't just, intervene instantly. You have to give them some time and space. So how much patience or what sort of approach Prabhuji will think is the best approach, which is applicable in spiritual realm as well as material world, if that makes sense?
Yes, Mataji. I think you have answered that question yourself. If they are not ready, then you cannot give them what they are not ready for. So we have to actually give them as per their circumstances. We have talked about this before as well. For example, when we start the journey of self-discovery programs, it is not on day one we talk to them about how the Vraja Gopis are wonderful, how the Madhurya Ras is this, and even we do not even talk about what they should be doing. They should be chanting 16 rounds, following four relative principles, or doing Ekadashi, read scriptures, and whatever. We talk to them in the last session of that 10 session journey, right? We
Yeah.
talk to them about some basics that we don't want to actually, everyone is looking for happiness. You are not going to get happiness by doing what you are currently doing. And all this basic, and then we talk to them about you are not this body, your spirit soul. And then if you are part and parcel of someone, then who's that person? Who's God? What is our relationship? How can we re-establish that relationship? Why the like good people are suffering, bad people are enjoying, the karma, all these basic philosophical truths that we tell them, and we build on top of that. So we are giving them the process in a way that they can digest it. So even the small child, when they want to eat something, it is not that we start feeding them on day one. The child is born, we start giving them some rice and dal. No, they are not able to digest it at that time. So we have to give them what they can digest. At the same time, we have to feed them something which will nourish them. So whatever is at their level, we have to actually give them that so that they can actually take one step forward towards Krishna. And that should be done carefully. Otherwise, what will happen is that we are giving them too much and their stomach is upset and they will say that I don't want to go to you again. So our preaching, instead of leading them towards Krishna, will lead them against, like in the different direction to Krishna. They will get repelled from it. So we have to actually understand as a leader that what they can take and then give them accordingly. Okay?
Nice, Prabhuji.
Fine.
That explains very well.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Surananda Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thanks for a wonderful lecture. Prabhuji, my takeaways today is hope. So there are two areas covered. So whatever the past karmas we did, so Krishna doesn't see them. So he sees all our intentions and desire on love on him. So another one is we don't need to have Krishna in person to get attachment to him. So he has provided scriptures, so and Guru and Sadhus association. So we just need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and read Srimad Bhagavatam and other recommended scriptures. Automatically we'll get the attachment developed in the association.
Very important points, Prabhuji. Very important points that you have raised. Two hope-giving points from today's session, that even indirect association with the Supreme Lord can give you the same attachment as direct association. Because we think that it is an indirect association in our mind, but it is not indirect because it is direct only. Srimad Bhagavatam is literary incarnation. It is Krishna in the form of Grantha, right? But we are thinking that, okay, we are not directly associating with Krishna, but that is why it is called indirect association. But it is a direct association and that gives the same benefit as if you are associating with Krishna directly. And the second hope-giving point that we saw today was that even our past disqualification, it can be worst of the things. Krishna doesn't care about that. As long as your intentions are pure, your devotion is there, he will accept us. So whatever karma that we have done in the past, now that we have taken the path of Krishna consciousness, as long as going forward we are clean and then we are developing love and devotion for him, he is going to accept us for sure. We don't have to worry about what is our past. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful points, Prabhuji. Gaurachandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for very nice class. So, Prabhuji, as we hear and we know that, Krishna's names and his qualities, pastimes, they are non-different. Nam Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukto Abhinatvan Nam Namino. How do we actually, so that's theory. So how do we feel it at what stage, and how do we know that, yeah, this Nam, Krishna, the personality, the deity in the temple is not different from the name that I'm chanting when I'm in Dham, when I'm walking, in the Dham, that's not different from Krishna, and the qualities. Suppose we are now hearing the class, so that's not different. How do we come to that platform and actually start rise above this theory that this is all not different from Krishna?
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful question. And that requires some time. So it is not that the theory will suddenly become realization in our heart in a day. The main way to actually realize is like once we have knowledge, we have to add service into it to get the realization. So how can we serve the holy name? And you already know that the answer. You can serve the holy name by chanting. You can serve the holy name by distributing. So the more you chant, more you serve the holy name by chanting and distributing, the more purification is going to happen. And more reciprocation we are going to get from the holy name. As we have already talked about, Krishna is reciprocating. He is reciprocative. He is like, ye yathamam prapadyante tam satavya bhajamyam. Because Krishna and Krishna's name are not different. Krishna's name is also like that. Krishna's name is also going to reciprocate us depending on our sincerity and our service. So if once we start chanting sincerely, as attentively as possible, as regularly as possible, and we have started serving them by distributing that holy name as well, then what is going to happen is Krishna is going to reciprocate with us by purifying us. And when we get purified, like the main reason why we are not able to understand that the holy name is Krishna himself is because of our ignorance. And the ignorance is deep rooted that we have. And the ignorance is not going to just go by theoretically understanding. Yeah, that is one level, 50% job done, that we have understood it, like we have heard it. But to realize that, it requires more cleansing. And that will require our mode of passion, mode of ignorance to be completely wiped off before we can actually understand that. So once we have done anartha nivritti stage where that we have cleared, and we go further to nishtha, ruchi, asakti, at that level we will start feeling that taste for the holy name, and we will go closer and closer to Krishna like that. So it will take time, especially anartha nivritti takes a while, and that passion and ignorance that is so deep rooted in us, it takes quite a long time to get purified, to come to that stage. But it will come.
So, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There is hope, Prabhuji, for all of us.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Aparna Mataji, your hand is still up. Is that for your third question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Am I
Oh, okay. Go
allowed?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, in text number 30, the purport, I know this question has been raised so many times in the past, and you have wonderfully explained it, but I just need a little bit of clarification here. Prabhupada mentioned that women, laborers, and merchants, they are not very intelligent. So my question was, women are not intelligent because merely by birth, or yeah, I know we do not identify ourselves as bodily conception of women or men. We consider ourselves as devotee of Krishna, which which erases all these aspects, but they are not very intelligent. So what exactly drives that
It is an eternal question from the woman.
statement?
And this goes on and on. No matter how much we talk about it, but still
I agree about this. I mean, I agree with
this
this
question
for me.
this question will keep coming. So we talked about it last time that the intelligence that is talked about in the scriptures is about your inclination to make spiritual progress. And if that inclination is not there, then that person is not intelligent. If you search in Bhagavad Gita about who's intelligent, Buddha, then you will see that Buddha means like the intelligent person who is understanding that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Buddha is like he is going closer to Krishna. And just now in this today's chapter as well, we saw who's Buddha is who gives a bad association and takes good association and hears about the Supreme Lord. So Buddha, generally the intelligence is not the materialistic intelligence that how much marks you can get in physics, maths, chemistry, biology, or all these other topics that we are taught in the college, schools and colleges. Now that intelligence is not being talked about. It is about how much inclination we have and how much you are using your intelligence for making progress towards the spiritual path. That is the intelligence it is being talked about. And generally, here it is now mentioned women, merchants, and laborers because they are more attached towards the materialistic viewpoint. Like the merchants and laborers, they are always like into merchants are in passion, laborers are in ignorance. They are into that category where they are actually just thinking about how can I earn more. So they are materialistic viewpoint. And similarly, the women are also attached material perspective. In general, it is not for every woman. In general, they are materialistically attached and they are not many times using their intelligence for making spiritual progress. And that is why it is mentioned like this, that they are generally not inclined towards it. But we have said many times that anyone who is inclined towards and they have taken the path of Krishna consciousness, then they are not in this category. We are like the scriptures themselves talk about not classifying or categorizing people based on the bodily platforms. We are spirit
Yeah,
souls.
exactly.
As long as we are spirit, we understand that we are spirit soul, we are part and parcel of Krishna. I am the servant of Krishna and I have to follow this path. You are no longer in that category. So,
Sure.
whether they are men or women, generally this laborers and merchant class are mentioned. All the Kali Yuga people fall into this category, whether they are men or women. They are either merchants or laborers. So it is not about women only. It is men and women both are covered. In Kali Yuga especially, there are hardly
Sure.
any Brahmanas. There are hardly any Kshatriyas. They are all merchants, laborers, and then women. Because if you talk about Varnashram, then the men are
Yeah,
considered put into that category, and the women have their own category of women. So
sure.
all the people in Kali Yuga, whether they are men or women, they are in this category. And those fortunate people who understand that they are not this body, they are spirit soul and they are servant of Krishna, then they don't fall into this less intelligent category. They become the intelligent people.
Sure. Wonderful. Brilliant. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Maybe you
Hare
have to take some notes, Mataji,
Krishna.
and whenever you have this question, you can just read those notes.
I understand. I understand, Prabhuji. Yeah, I mean, you have explained it how many times. I completely get the essence, but I just thought that, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, so there has to be
Okay,
something to
fine.
understand more. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Any other last comments, points, reflections before we close? Okay, Mahendra Prabhuji.
Hare
You
Krishna.
take your last points and then we'll
Yeah,
close.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I guess most of the points are you have already covered that. But just from the verse 3, you mentioned that perfect teachers, perfect knowledge, and perfect student makes sure the parampara continues. And then an imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. So also in verse 5, you mentioned that the secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Prabhuji, I really like the example. I never, never thought sun as an example of Lord's birth. So you have mentioned in text 26 that his birth is like appearance and disappearance for the sun. So never thought of, sun can be looked at from that perspective as well. So it was amazing example, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada has used that in Bhagavad Gita as well.
Yeah, I might have
But
missed
anyway, I
that,
think,
but yeah, it
yeah,
is.
at that time probably it did not register, but now you have registered it. Good. Now at least you have understood it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
Thank
great.
you, Prabhuji. Yeah, and the last one was one from the text 25, where you says from the Ishopanishad, everything is the property of the Supreme Being.
Yeah,
Thank you,
wonderful. You're
Prabhuji.
taking good notes. Thank you very much. Okay, we will pause here today, and next week we will talk about the next chapter, which is now how Lord is welcomed, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dvaraka, and how he is welcomed there, and what is the reactions of those devotees, and what is their emotions. We will see that next week. So we pause here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki